All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're staging a scientific showdown, lasers versus shockwaves. We've got two super high-tech treatments for a really common, really frustrating problem, plantar fasciitis. But which one is actually better at fixing that awful heel pain? Let's find out.
You know that feeling, right? The moment you swing your legs out of bed, you're already bracing for it. That first step hits the floor and bam, a sharp, stabbing pain shoots through your heel. If that sounds familiar, then you know exactly what we're talking about today.
So what is this thing? It's called plantar fasciitis, and it is incredibly common. I mean, look at that number. It makes up 15% of all foot-related problems. That's huge. It's basically what happens when that thick band of tissue on the bottom of your foot gets worn out from repetitive strain.
Okay, so to fight this, doctors are breaking out some seriously futuristic tools. In one corner, we have the high-intensity laser, and in the other corner, we have the extracorporeal shockwave. So let's put them head-to-head and see what the science actually says. So let's meet our fighters. On the left, we've got high-intensity laser therapy, or HILT for short, and on the right, extracorporeal shockwave therapy, which we'll call ESWT. They both have the same goal, to get you healed, but their methods are totally different. First up is the laser. HILT uses a really powerful, focused beam of light. And don't worry, it's painless and totally non-invasive. This light energy goes deep into your tissue and kicks off a process called photobiomodulation. It's basically like giving yourselves a supercharged pep talk to speed up repair, calm things down, and just make the pain go away. Now, ESWT is a whole different animal. Instead of light, this one uses physical force, powerful acoustic waves or sound waves that are aimed right at your heel. This does a few really cool things. It jumpstarts your body's own healing powers, it can help shut down the little nerve fibers sending pain signals, and it encourages your body to build new, healthy tissue. It's a bit more aggressive, you could say. So, we have our two contenders, but how do we actually decide who wins? We can't just guess. We need a fair fight, with clear rules. And that, my friends, is where science comes in. Let's look at how the researchers actually set up this battle. The secret weapon here is something called a meta-analysis. Now, instead of just doing one more study, researchers go out and collect all the best studies that have already been done. By pooling all of that data together, they get an answer that's way more powerful and reliable than any single study could ever be on its own. It's a game changer. And they were so picky about it. They searched 4 huge scientific databases and came up with 71 possible studies. But then they started filtering. They tossed out any duplicates, any studies that weren't the highest quality, or any that didn't fit their exact question. When the dust settled, only the top 5, the absolute best of the best, made the final cut. This chart here really shows you that filtering process in action. You can see how they started with that big pool of 71 studies and just kept narrowing it down, getting rid of anything that wasn't perfect. This is so important because it means their final conclusion is built on a rock-solid foundation of only the most credible evidence. So after all that sifting and sorting, the final analysis included data from 236 actual patients. You had 120 people who got the laser therapy and 116 who got the shockwave therapy. Combining all those people gives this analysis some serious statistical power, which means we can really trust the results. Okay, the stage is set. Let's get to it.
All right, let's get ready. Round 1, the fight against pain. For anyone who has this condition, this is the main event, and the question is pretty simple. Which one of these advanced therapies is actually better at making the pain go away? We're talking about that morning pain, the pain when you're just resting, and the pain when you're trying to be active. Which one wins? And the verdict from the judges is a complete and total draw. Yeah, you heard that right. When it came to just pure pain relief, neither treatment could land a knockout blow. When the researchers crunched all the numbers, they found no statistically significant difference between lasers and shockwaves. Not for morning pain, not for resting pain, not for activity pain. And this was true right after treatment, and even a few months down the line. When it comes to stopping the hurt, it's a dead heat. But the fight is not over yet. Let's move on to round 2, which is all about getting back on your feet. Because look, being pain-free is one thing, but actually being able to use your foot properly, well, that's the real prize, isn't it? This is all about getting back to your actual life. Can you walk? Can you stand? Can you move around without limitations? This looks beyond just pain and really gets at whether a treatment is truly working in the real world. And here we have a winner. The data showed a real, statistically significant advantage for shockwave therapy in improving foot function, at least in the short term. Now, it wasn't a massive difference, but it was there. And in real life, that could be the difference that lets you walk a little further or stand a little longer. It matters. And that wasn't just a temporary boost either. The results showed that ESWT's edge in improving how well the foot works actually continued for up to 3 months after treatment. So no doubt about it, round 2 goes to shockwave therapy. Okay, so let's check the scorecard. We've had a draw on pain and a clear win for shockwaves on function. So it's time for the final verdict. Who is the overall champion in this showdown? Well, in a classic scientific twist, the researchers themselves are very, very cautious. They basically say that even though they saw some interesting trends, the evidence we have right now just isn't strong enough to definitively declare one winner over the other. Good science is often more about nuance than it is about knockouts. So let's just boil it down to the key takeaways. First, for straight-up pain relief, it's a tie. Both options seem to work pretty well. Second, if your main goal is improving how well your foot works, ESWT seems to have a slight edge. And third, and this part's really important, the science is still a work in progress. We really need more, bigger studies to be absolutely certain. And, this whole thing really highlights a bigger point about medical tech. We have these amazing, almost futuristic tools to solve really common problems, but the data doesn't always point to one single clear-cut winner. The best choice really can depend on the person and their goals. Which leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? As we look to the future, are the biggest breakthroughs for things like heel pain going to come from some brand new revolutionary technology? Or is it going to come from us getting better and smarter at using the powerful tools we already have?